when we go into the next kind of question, Oliver, is let's just talk about a little bit about how this project can get financed.
Well, you've got two components. I mean, we've got the location, we've got the closed loop system, we have the gas cost, we've got proven technology, we've got, let's say, the location, we've got the first class political environment. Now comes the question, money. Let's look firstly at the equity. We're looking at, and I promised at the beginning, I'm not going to go into debt equity figures, but I mean, if you look at the slide, we're looking at the total cost of approximately 1.7 billion. And we're looking at a total equity of approximately $533 million, Canadian dollars. That's approximately 40% equity is required. I don't know how big your average farms are in Canada, but what we're looking for, if you, let's say, talking of farmers, or we've got, let's say, farms of several thousands of acres, you're talking, let's say, of a relatively large John Deere tractor, which costs, let's say, in dollar terms, anywhere between $350,000 and $376,000 secondhand. That's a 2019 model. If you can get enough people to invest that type of money, I think we could, let's say, get the 40% equity. Getting the debt, which is approximately 60%, which is, let's say, just under $1.2 billion, is going to be a challenge. But that's the reason why I have taken it upon myself to look for this debt. You've got three ways of financing the debt. Number one, like an OCI or like a CF Industries, you put your balance sheet as a guarantee, and you get that debt. Easy as that. But we don't have that. The second way to do it is you go in the market and you look for pension funds, hedge funds, God knows, equity funds to invest into the debt. That's going to be challenging. The third way is project financing. Now, project financing is what I specialize in. Again, all the plants that I mentioned before, where I was involved in getting the debt financed, was through project financing. What is project financing? This is very uncommon in North America. It is a European debt finance model where a European development bank, in this case, I'm close to the German development bank called KfW, meaning Kredit für Wiederaufbau, would become the lead debt arranger. Now, also he has to, let's say, go for the full ticket. He will go maybe for 25% or 30% of the ticket. Now, how is he going to goad the rest of the banking community in Europe into putting debt or lend money into this project? Well, we have a trick here in Germany called that the German government would get involved to assume 50% of the financial risk. This is what you call in financial English ECA coverage. Now, imagine if you got yourself, let's say, a bank who, even with an OCI or a Coke or a Yara, even though they've got, let's say, the balance sheet as a guarantee, they're taking 100% of the risk. With the German government, you can de-risk it by 50%. In other words, you de-risk the loan by 50%. And this is an incentive for European banks to finance projects offshore. Why do they do that? Why don't US banks do it? Well, there's no market in the US or in North America. And number two, the Europeans, basically European governments do this in order to promote their own technology. And obviously they make money from it. I mean, what are we using? We're using ThyssenKrupp. We would have used ThyssenKrupp as an engineering and a licensor for urea and for ammonia technology anyway. So, hey, we're using German technology. So why can't we use the German government to de-risk the project by 50% against default? And by the way, just as a passing note, I sent you guys in other words, to Genesis, an email today. In the next 10 days, I'm meeting, next Friday, I'm meeting with Euler Hermes, that is basically the German government or the German insurance company, state insurance company, which insures the financial risk. And I'm meeting them together with PricewaterhouseCoopers, which is a known auditor worldwide. And on Tuesday after next week, I'm meeting with KfW and to discuss the project. Now, they know the project, they're interested in the project. And again, to hit the point home, why are they interested? Again, it's Canada, it's the cost of gas, it's the closed loop system. In other words, it's production which goes directly to farmer. And at the end of the day, the farmer enjoys the dividends. There are no middlemen. End of story.
Great. I'd be remiss if I didn't point out, Oliver, to the participants on the call today that just speaking about the financeability of the project, we do have a few conditional approvals on various government incentives, depending on where we finalize the plant location, whether it's in Moose Jaw or the Alberta Industrial Heartland. Last summer, we received conditional approval from the Alberta government in a program called the Alberta Petrochemical Incentive Program. That's an incentive program which this project fits under quite well. It's basically roughly 15% or 13% of the eligible capital cost of the project. I don't want to go into too much detail what the eligible is, but the number that based on our initial estimate is worth about $130 to $150 million. That's a straight cash grant once the plant is commissioned and is paid out over the first 3 years of the plant. So when you think about a project of this size, in total, you're at 1.7 billion Canadian. You're looking at roughly 8-9% of that project being supported by the government if it's in Alberta. When we look at Saskatchewan, we've also received conditional approval on through the Saskatchewan Chemical Fertilizer Incentive Program. That's a tax credit-based program. It's worth quite a bit of money. It's worth over $200 million in tax credits over the course of the first 10 years of production. Again, another major benefit in getting this project to the finish line.